It's 5 years after Return of the Jedi. The Rebel Alliance has destroyed the Death Star, defeated Darth Vader and the Emperor, and driven the remnants of the old Imperial Starfleet to a distant corner of the galaxy. Princess Leia and Han Solo are married and expecting Jedi twins, and Luke Skywalker has become the first in a long-awaited line of Jedi Knights. But thousands of light years away, the last of the Emperor's warlords has taken command of the shattered Imperial fleet, readied it for war, and pointed it at the fragile heart of the New Republic. For this Dark Warrior has made two vital discoveries that could destroy everything the courageous men and women of the Rebel Alliance fought so hard to build. The explosive confrontation that results is a towering epic of action, invention, mystery, and spectacle on a galactic scale. In short, it's a story worthy of the name Star Wars. And so it was. I say was because it is no longer a Star Wars story, as Lucasfilm has taken a liking to coin some of their newest films. Star Wars is something else now. That blurb I read was from the back cover of the 1991 novel Heir to the Empire by Timothy Zahn. It's what should have been the continuation of the adventures of Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Princess Leia. It includes characters such as Lando Calrissian, Admiral Akbar, Mon Mothma. But it also introduces other characters who have become famous in Star Wars. First and foremost among those might be Grand Admiral Thrawn. Timothy Zahn is the man who conceived that character that we've seen in cartoons such as Rebels. I'm sure by now he's made his way into several different comic books. But there are other characters, such as Mara Jade, who debuted in this book, who were characters created by Timothy Zahn. And now we have to make a distinction, a comparison, a contrast between the way that Timothy Zahn portrays his new characters to the way that J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson portrayed. One of these people makes use of tried and true fictional elements to tell a story, and the other two, well, their methods of telling a story are somewhat different, somewhat less tried, and, let's face it, somewhat less true. If you compare Grand Admiral Thrawn to Supreme Commander Snoke, for instance, two different people have had the opportunity to write Snoke and realize him on the big screen. Back when Timothy Zahn was writing Grand Admiral Thrawn, Timothy Zahn was the only one to write Grand Admiral Thrawn. And not only did he create a backstory for Thrawn that was rather simple, but he created a character where all we needed to know was basic elements of this character. We didn't need to know what planet he came from. We didn't need to know what species he was from. He was very intriguing nonetheless. Blue skin, crimson eyes, black hair, white uniform. A military genius like none Star Wars had ever seen before. He was a Grand Admiral in the Empire, possibly the highest rank that anyone could achieve within the Empire from a military position. He was also an alien, a non-human, in other words. And the story established very early on that within the ranks of the Empire, non-human characters, non-human aliens, non-human people were considered far less than second-class citizens by the Emperor. And so the Empire largely had carried on that philosophy, and the position and rank that Grand Admiral Thrawn had achieved was just a testament to really how accomplished he was, how respected he was within the Empire. During the course of the story, Grand Admiral Thrawn was not an armchair Imperial leader. He took action. He went to the front lines. He was a proactive warrior. If you contrast that with Supreme Leader Snoke, you see an old man who is scarred and beaten up. You have no idea why, and yet you never see him do much more than complain from the sanctuary of a chair somewhere. These two characters are completely different. These two characters are approached in a completely different fashion. Grand Admiral Thrawn is approached almost as if he were the protagonist of this story. He's approached as if he were Sherlock Holmes, for instance, which I'm almost positive that he was in part based off of Sherlock Holmes. He is not a point of view character in the story, however. That position falls to the captain of Grand Admiral Thrawn's Star Destroyer, Captain Pelion. And if Grand Admiral Thrawn is the Sherlock Holmes of this book, then Captain Pelion is the Dr. Watson. Pelion is a competent Imperial officer. He's even well accomplished. I believe he was at the Battle of Endor, if I'm not mistaken. I will have to read again to find out, but I believe he was. So he is very accomplished, very experienced, and he is in awe of Grand Admiral Thrawn. He is in such awe and has such respect for Grand Admiral Thrawn that he states over and over again within the narrative of this book that had Grand Admiral Thrawn been in command of the Imperial forces at Endor, things would have turned out different. That's his belief. Whether or not it was true, I can't say. Well, I could, but that would be spoiling things. Yes, really the story of Pelion is a story where he is led around on an adventure by Grand Admiral Thrawn. Pelion is a point of view character, and in each of his chapters it seems like there are always these "it's elementary, my dear Pelion" moments where Grand Admiral Thrawn unravels the piece of a puzzle that Pelion has spent, some time trying to figure out himself. And the wider puzzle is the plan that Grand Admiral Thrawn wishes to employ in order to bring the Empire back into dominance and bring the rebellion to heel. Now, I've said a lot about Grand Admiral Thrawn because in the story there's a lot to say. For a character that is not a point of view character, there's a lot to say about him. In contrast, the Supreme Leader of the First Order, there's not much to say. I struggle to find something not only entertaining but something true and something important to say about that character. He led Ben Solo to the dark side. Somehow he was able to gather the resources so that the First Order could build a planet-sized cannon to destroy the Republic and bring fear to the galaxy. He never left his chair. He is a very scarred individual, so you have to imagine he left his chair at some point in the past. But those are stories that we will probably never learn about. And that's it for Snoke. And the reason I'm telling you that all of these things is because if you're looking for the sequel trilogy that Star Wars deserves, and maybe if you like to read, maybe if you don't like to read, this would be a good jumping on point to get into novels. There are audiobooks out here of this story. You can even find them on YouTube. If that makes it easier for you to listen to. I know audiobooks can be very fun. You can listen and do other things at the same time. It's something totally different than reading. Once you start reading a book, if you're going to finish that book, you can't really eat and read at the same time. You can't even go so far as to look at the scenery outside your window and read at the same time. So, I would encourage people who are dissatisfied with the new direction that Disney has taken Star Wars into to take a look at the expanded universe. And I would start that with The Heir to the Empire, a novel by Timothy Zahn. It's a wonderful book, and I will be introducing other books, TV shows, movies that hopefully those of you out there who are displeased with Star Wars right at the moment can find some enjoyment in. And as always, if you are listening, you are the new rebellion. 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 You are the new rebellion.